Hey, I'm Nick with Dorman Products, and this is our OE FIX torque converter lockup solenoid for Subaru vehicles. Subarus are renowned for their boxer-style engine layout and their sure-footed all-wheel drive systems, but their CVT transmissions aren't always known for durability or longevity. Subaru uses a torque converter clutch or a TCC in these transmissions to lock up the torque converter. This helps with fuel efficiency while also dropping engine RPMs in high gear, saving wear and tear and preventing torque converter slip. The solenoid that actuates the TCC is mounted in the valve body and can fail, sometimes due to varnish and sludge buildup and other times due to high electrical resistance or outright failure. The valve body on these transmissions is located on the top of the transmission near the firewall, so it's fairly accessible. However, Subaru does not sell these solenoids separately, just the complete valve body, which is prohibitively expensive. Our OE FIX torque converter lockup solenoid replaces just the piece that's broken, not the costly valve body assembly. It turns a very expensive job into one that's much more affordable. A few symptoms can indicate the need for this repair. A savvy motorist may note the torque converter failing to lock or unlock, but most likely the vehicle is going to come into your bay demonstrating a powertrain fault code. P0700, P2763, and a P2764 are all associated codes with a failing TCC solenoid. We looked at some failed control modules and determined that for many of these vehicles, a solenoid replacement was all the transmission needed to function once again. The repair process is reasonably straightforward. First, disconnect the negative battery lead, and on most vehicles the intake tube will need to be moved out of the way, and some may require the removal of the throttle body. The pitch control mount, usually identified as a dog bone engine mount, may also need to be removed. Depending on which Subaru model you're working on, there might be some wiring to disconnect and hoses to move out of the way for good access to the valve body area. On most Subaru CVTs, you'll find the heat shield and insulation on top of the transmission. Remove these pieces and make sure to remove any ground wires blocking the removal of the valve body cover. Remove the connector to cover plate wiring so that the cover can be removed, and then take some time to clean the old gasket with the valve body still in place, since pieces of the gasket can fall into the transmission if the valve body is removed. If you're doing this procedure by the book, Subaru offers a special tool that's essentially a piece of plastic that keeps debris out of the valve body area, but it's not necessary if the area is kept clean. After cleaning around the edge of the cover, you're ready to remove the valve body cover bolts to expose the valve body. To release the valve body, remove only the valve body retaining bolts. On this 2016 Forester, the 7 black bolts were the only ones that needed to be removed, but make sure you look up these bolt locations for your specific application before starting. Place the valve body on a clean work surface. Each solenoid has a retaining bracket held in place by 2 bolts. The bracket will be reused. Remove these bolts for the solenoids you're replacing using a pick tool if needed, and set the OE solenoid and wiring aside. Now it's time to transfer the wiring to the new solenoid and install a new clip cover. Apply a small amount of oil to the O-ring and put the solenoid back into place. After installing the solenoid retaining plate and bolts, you can put the wiring harness back into place and capture it with the retaining tab. Don't forget to reattach the ground leads before moving on to the next steps. Looking at the transmission, you'll see 2 O-rings that need to be replaced. Pull these out and swap in 2 new O-rings. Then apply a small amount of RTV to the case joints to help seal everything up. After that, install a new valve body cover gasket, and finally the valve body itself. Tighten the valve body bolts to 9 Newton meters or 6.5 foot-pounds. From here, it's simply a matter of closing everything up and putting components back into place. Make sure the cover fits over the alignment pins and then install the cover mounting bolts. Tighten the cover fasteners to 8 Newton meters or 6 foot-pounds. Make sure to reattach the wiring connector to the connector bracket and bolt the bracket back into place if you removed it earlier, and reinstall the blanket and heat shield with the 2-step bolts removed earlier. Plug all remaining connectors back in and reattach the pitch control arm if you removed it. With the intake tube back in place, it is time to follow the manufacturer's procedure for CVT fluid level. Clear any remaining transmission codes and then recheck the CVT fluid level and take it for a road test. Before removal, it is crucial that the module and nearby surfaces are completely clean. You do not want contaminants or debris falling into the transmission. It may be necessary to perform a relearn with a scan tool when the installation is complete. We hope you like this new solution. It's a real money saver, and remember, if you need anything at all, the Dorman technical support team is always available to help. Thanks for checking out our video on this lockup solenoid for Subarus. I'm Nick, and I'll see you next time.